All right, good evening, everybody. We will call this meeting of LAFCO to order. Today is Wednesday, October 26th. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will move on to our introduction of commissioners and staff. Sorry with Ken.
Okay. Ken Lane, public member.
Richard O'Brien, city member.
Terry Withrow, county member.
Vito Chiesa, county member.
Javier Lopez, city member.
Javier Camarena, assistant executive officer.
Sarah Little-Penny, executive officer.
Rob Terrell, LAFCO counsel.
Jennifer Vieira, commission clerk.
Very good, thank you guys. Okay, we'll move on to public comment. This is a period of our meeting where anybody from the public can come up and speak on any item. We go for 5 minutes on this, and for any item that's not on the agenda, and then again, you can speak on specific items on the agenda if you'd like. We're going to start off, I have a couple cards here. We're going to start off with Barney Akers. Good evening, Barney. How are you?
Good evening. I'm well, thank you. How are all of you?
We're good, thank you.
Okay, I'll keep it short. You've heard from me several times in the past. My name is Barney Akers. I live at 7730 McHenry Avenue. I'm on the very edge of the proposed Riverwalk project, the western edge. I have ag property there, as do my neighbors. For many reasons, I'm not going to go into the detail that I have in the past of why I oppose Riverwalk. My neighbors and I await the draft EIR that has been coming for, I don't know, 9 or 10 months, and our opportunity to point out all the reasons why developing this river bottom land is the worst idea on the planet, in my opinion. This would become Riverbank West. It would leapfrog from where Riverbank's sphere of influence is deep into West McHenry, and it would impact the community of Del Rio. We badly need to have buffers between our communities. We need space that isn't filled with homes and commercial development and everything that that follows it. I've been studying this in deep detail, and I can just envision Coffee Road coming north and winding around and exiting on McHenry Avenue, and then Hogue Road coming out a quarter mile south and exiting on McHenry Avenue. And then you'd have a stoplight at River, a stoplight where Coffee comes out, a stoplight where Hogue is, a stoplight where Stewart is, and a stoplight down where Kernan is. Oh, and one in between at Al's Furniture. I'm working on a way, we've invited people to come out and look at this immense area of the project, view it live. Some people have come out. I'm working on a way to present the immensity of this. And the thing that has not been brought up much at all, 1.8 miles of this proposed development is riverfront property. It's right along the Stanislaus River, which is prone to 100-year, 200-year floodplain. It is not the levee is not certified by the Army Corps, and I will finish. It seeps underneath. It doesn't go over the levee. The water seeps underneath. So I ask you members to please study this proposal in depth, and when it comes to vote, say no. Thank you.
Thanks, Barney. Okay, next up we have Dan Whetstone. Dan, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Great. How about yourself?
Good, thank you.
Yes, I live at 7824 McHenry. Again, my house overlooks this river bottom where the Riverwalk project is proposed. Just so many reasons that this shouldn't go forward. So again, we're just doing, hope we're not irritating you too much, but we just wanted you to keep it in your mind, keep it fresh and in the forefront as the EIR comes out and this project comes before you. That just take a hard look at it of all the effects it's going to have, infrastructure and traffic and the use of this prime ag land. Just so many reasons. So again, thanks for listening.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Okay, those are the only two speaker cards that I have. Does anybody else want to speak for public comment? Anybody else want to? Come on down.
Carol.
Perfect timing.
That was what traffic was bad.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. I'm Karen Conrado. I live in Modesto. I'm here to oppose the Riverwalk housing project that's still being determined in Riverbank, City of Riverbank. I just want to say that it's prime agricultural land that's a floodplain. I think there's infrastructure concerns, traffic and sewage and water. It's a water recharge area that's both prime agricultural land and prime recharge area that should not be cemented over for houses. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Come on up. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good.
My name is Claire. I wanted to say thank you for holding this meeting, and also that I am also opposed to the Riverwalk project. Just feel it would be a grave misuse of vibrant agricultural land. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Claire. Thank you, guys. You just made it. Perfect. Okay, anybody else? Before we close public comment, seeing none, we will move on to our correspondence. Anything there?
There's no additional correspondence tonight.
Very good, thank you. Declaration of conflicts. Does anybody have any declaration of conflicts up here? Okay, very good. We'll move on to our consent calendar. Would anyone like to pull an item from consent? Anybody from the audience pull anything from consent? Seeing none, we'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, we will move on to our public hearing 6A, municipal service review for Riverdale Track Park.
Good evening, Javier Camarena with LAFCO. The item being discussed this evening is Municipal Service Review number 2022-05 and Sphere of Influence Update number 2022-05. This, just to be clear, this is not a proposed project. It's not a change of organization. This is just a informational document that staff has completed. Municipal service reviews and sphere of influence updates are updated approximately every 5 years, and these updates are normally consent items. However, staff wanted to pull this item off of consent just to point out a few items to note for the commission. The previous municipal service review was completed 5 years ago. At that time, Riverdale Park Track Community Service District was facing multiple challenges. That previous MSR outlined some of those challenges and what options they were looking at considering. So some of the updated information, Riverdale Park Tract Community Service District is currently in the process of consolidating its water service with the City of Modesto. And as part of that process, eventually will dissolve as a district. When dissolution is ready to be proposed, that's going to require a LAFCO process, LAFCO review and approval. The part of the requirement of dissolving a district is that it must be whatever decision LAFCO makes, it's going to have to be consistent with the municipal service review. So this current municipal service review reflects that process that the district is going through. The Municipal Service Review provides relevant determinations set forth in CKH and are detailed in the Municipal Service Review, and the MSR is attached to the staff report. Also, no changes are being proposed for the district's sphere of influence. Staff's recommendation can be found on pages 3 and 4 of the staff report, and that recommendation includes approval of the Municipal Service Review and sphere of influence update. That concludes my presentation, and staff's available for questions.
Very good. Thanks, Javier. Any questions for Javier? I'm just going to...
I just have a quick one, sorry. The uranium exceeding state levels, how does that convey with the U.S. limits? Because the state is really tightened down on limits, where 5 years ago, some of the limits were 50 times greater than they are today. Is that it with the uranium, or is the uranium different? Or can we get back to me later?
We can probably get back to you on that one.
Okay,
We can
thank
find
you.
out from environmental research.
I just thought when I read it that you guys, okay, thank you. Sorry.
We just know they're in violation of the state standard, not necessarily knowing the federal standard at this point.
So they would have to follow whatever standards time to move forward.
Right.
That would be your recommendation.
Right.
Okay.
And that's actually one of the reasons why the consolidation process is occurring right now, to eventually move their, so they can receive water on a permanent basis from City of Modesto, rather than struggling to keep up with these ever-changing standards on their own.
So just to give you guys some background on this, I've lived this for the last 12 years, I guess maybe 10 years, because it wasn't in my district originally. It used to be Supervisor DeMartini's. But there've been a constant battle. You know, it's right across from the old Bonzi dump is where this is. And they have constantly been fighting this. They have an old well there that's constantly going down or constantly falling into a state of not meeting the requirements as far as drinking water. And so it's been a constant battle to fight through this, and we've always had this pipe right there from the City of Modesto. It's been turned on occasion on emergency situations. The individuals who live there, it's a very disadvantaged community, and the individuals who live there are paying, I think, $30, I think we had that in the report here too, $30 a month for their water. And they have a board that represents them, and it's been just a debacle for a long time. And so great things are going to happen out there within the next couple of years, one of them being that we're going to get the water turned on. That was happening with the help of self-help industries, which was helping finance this, get this, get all the infrastructure in place for that. So that's the one thing that was going to happen regardless. But the other thing that's going to really transform that entire neighborhood is the Board of Supervisors set aside $50 million to try to improve these unincorporated areas, these county pockets throughout the county. Each supervisor had areas within their districts, supervisorial district, and this one falls in my district, that all of us had areas that needed help, needed curbs, gutters, sidewalks, sewer, and water. Most of the sewer and water in these unincorporated areas are septic tanks and wells. And so we all picked areas that we thought, we got a lot of input from the public, and went through a process of meeting out in each one of these. We had 10 separate meetings, 10 separate Board of Supervisors meetings out in each one of these areas, 2 for each supervisorial district. And we recently approved where each one of these improvements were going to go, where this $50 million is going to be spent. We could have just split it evenly, but there were some areas that were more in need of others. And we figured the total cost to improve these areas is about, now it's probably somewhere around $800 million to really fix all these county pockets, but we only have 50 that we're dealing with right now, but it's a start. And so we divvied the money up kind of based on the cost of what it would take in each supervisorial district, and apportion it that way in that ratio. So my colleague Supervisor Chiesa Vito ended up, and it was very nice of him, and also Buck Condit, Supervisor Condit, that they, instead of splitting it up 5 ways, and each of us taking 10 million, we did it towards the areas that were most in need. And so we appreciate the board allowing certain districts to get a chunk of the money more than, I think Vito probably ended up with the least of all the districts in his area, but had the least need. But anyway, we appreciate just how well the board worked together. This district, in my district here, Riverdale Tract, it's about $13 million worth of need. So I received about $10 million worth from my district. It's all going to go into Riverdale Tract. They're going to have curbs, gutters, sidewalks, street lights, sewer, and water when this is all done. And within the next couple of years, I think, because we have to spend the money within the next couple of years. It's ARPA money that we have to spend. So this area, water is coming and was going to come regardless of what the Board of Supervisors done. But now, in addition to that, we'll have the sewer, curbs, gutters, sidewalks, streets. It'll just, again, transform this neighborhood, and that's going to happen throughout the county. In certain areas, not on a giant scale, $50 million compared to 800 needed, but it is a great thing that we're starting here. So anyway, that's more than you wanted to know.
Yeah, well, I have a question. Being on the city council for a number of years in Ceres, we had Collins Road area, right? We kind of fought that battle when we were, when we were looking at annexing certain areas over there.
Collins, is that?
Yeah, that's off of Moffett,
Okay.
right? And that area that, we're looking at annexations. I know the city of Ceres is now in hobby. You may be able to talk more on that, but we, looked at that Collins Road area, and we were always, Jim at the time, supervisor at the time, we would say, hey, man, we need some help over here, right? And I know you hear that from cities and that sort of thing in the past, and I've certainly hoped that that's still on the radar. I don't know. I haven't been around since 18, so I'm hoping that, Collins Road area, which is a big chunk, because we're demanded now to take in that area if we do any annexations, right? And we were always like, where's the sidewalks? Where's the street lights? What are these people doing, right? Maybe you guys could help me with that. I'm just curious for my own self now, because that was a battle that, not a battle, but a discussion that we had with Supervisor D. Martini at that time, where that kind of is.
Interesting the way, because we've been around, luckily we've been around long enough to see some of this. Only when redevelopment went away, there was
Right.
only CDBG funds,
Right.
really, that we could do anything with. We prioritized sewer lines, and that's why most of it went to West Modesto. And they've actually done a good job in airport. We're going to go through, right now, they're working on Colorado, Rouse, Spencer Marshall. Yeah, there's some areas. And now this is ARPA, and the county got $100 million in ARPA funds, and we chose to put $50 million of it, 50%. I don't know that anyone else is putting 50% in, and again, it is a drop in the bucket, but on the flip side of that, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, or once in a generation, and maybe not a lifetime, to do it. So we went through a scoring system. Just so you know, we had these community meetings scoring system, and it's the opposite of cream, but the most impoverished areas, the most challenged areas, pretty much came to the top. I didn't spend much time in Riverdale. I can't say I drove through there a couple times when we were doing cannabis bus, but it is truly a challenged area, and when you hear one of your fellow supervisors say, oh, this is a bad area, it's a bad area, it needs some help. Everyone has bad areas. I can take you to Kenwood in the middle of Turlock, dead center in the middle of Turlock. That's the island that's going to be fixed. It is calls for service, police services, and there's just no way for the police to get there. So we've been challenged, but now we have an opportunity, and I see the projects. We're partnering with the city of Modesto, potentially right around John Thurman Field for a potential annexation, working with the city on the island that I'm talking about that's in the city, because there's no chance, because the city's already encumbered all of it, so they'll continue annexing. This has to be a special deal. And so I hear you, and I know your project, because we've got every one of the islands costed out now. We've never had that before.
Right.
Not in my existence on the board. Just in today's dollars. And again, it was $720 million, which is $800 million now. But at least we know who has sewer, who has water lines, because there's a mismatch of everything. Some people have sidewalks but don't have sewer and water. So again, for public health, we still are going to prioritize, at least as long as I'm around, I'm going to vote for sewer lines first. I mean, that's the most important thing for me. You get a sewer line in, and then if self-help or the state board doesn't come in and pay for the hookups, people are going to stick with their septic tank until it fails.
Right.
And because there's a cost associated on a monthly charge.
Right, the hookups and all that sort of thing.
I appreciate, and don't think it goes unnoticed, all of these islands, because we are constantly trying to figure out ways to come up with.
And, you know, talking here for a city member, a public member, right? Because of being involved in a lot of that for so many years, right? I think it's important. And Mayor Hobby, I mean, I'm sure you're aware of all that, but it's certainly something that if we're going to annex, right, that, and we're looking at Heidel again, we're looking at Copper Trails, I think, from kind of what I read. I've stayed out of everybody's business, if you will, but I think that's an area that when you do annex, that's an area you're going to have to take in. So there's going to be substantial costs in doing that, and I would encourage the city of Ceres, and this is not a soapbox, believe me, but to, you know, work with the county and, you know, the funds that they have available, because, you know, you can take things in, but at the same time, there's a big cost when you do that. So
I will tell you, in the new tax sharing agreement that you're probably not familiar with, we excluded
Probably not.
we excluded the county islands for separate negotiations.
Okay.
And
All right.
which is even a better thing. I think
It is
that-
a better thing.
Rather than because then it disincentivizes the cities from just what you're speaking of.
Right, because that was something that we dealt with. Anyway, didn't mean to get off track.
Well, that's okay, and I can see Rob telling us we're going to get ourselves in trouble here, I think.
Sorry, don't mean to. I'm just talking, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so sorry, that was my fault. I started this.
went off track.
Yeah.
We did go a little.
But since we're talking about this service review here, that was just what's
Right.
really, what else is going on out there right now? Okay.
So if we support,
So
what do we do?
Did we open it for public comment?
Okay, so we'll open this up for any public comment. Open the public hearing. No public comment. Close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for further comments or a motion.
I move we approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Other business, we have none. Commissioners' comments? Any comments, concerns, questions? None?
Well, I
Okay.
do. This is probably, in my opinion, the second most important board or organization in the county. Board of Supervisors first, and this is probably equal with LAFCO. And I think that as we move forward, the staff here should be treated as well as other staff members. And when we come up next year, I want to make sure that he gets the same perks as he gets. So in parking or any of the others. So this isn't a second class, this is a first class organization. So
Absolutely.
let's keep it that way.
Absolutely.
Okay, agreed.
Soapbox.
Very good.
I think what he's referring to is she's the only non-department head.
So something for us to work on.
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Richard. Okay, no additional matters at the discretion of the chairperson. I do have nothing. Executive officers report. Sarah?
Yeah, we'll note that the December 7th meeting is tentative at this point. We need to make sure that we have a quorum for that meeting. It appears that there is an overlapping meeting with the mayors on that night. So we'll double check. We do have one potential item for that meeting, so we'll go back and double check and see if that can't be carried over to January, especially if we don't have a quorum. So we'll keep you updated on that, but keep December 7th as tentative if you're not already going to a different meeting. And that's all.
We do. Okay, all right, very good. Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns? If none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.